Good morning, friends. It's 5:30 in the morning. We are going on day 2 of getting the garden up and running. Yesterday was a good day. We got a lot done. We got the entire area pretty much tilled with what we could, and I'll explain some of the hiccups there in a minute. And then we did some stump grinding. We took some trees out last year that never came back from the winter and looked like they had been dead for a while. And then we had started clearing the old fence line, but then we reshifted from our original plan and decided to leave the old fence line up to use as a guide. And then we'll take down the old fence line when we get our fence line established. And so that led to us having to take out some more shrubs. But Tim's doing all the heavy duty stuff right now, so I am helping him whenever he needs it. But I'm trying to keep up with kind of the domestic housework, stay ahead of laundry and dishes and cleaning because I want to be outside as much as possible. And today we're kind of on a time crunch because we have some weather coming in and they're calling for squalls, which if you don't know what a squall is, it's just like an intense burst of wind. It's usually short-lived, but they're calling for like 60, maybe 70 mile an hour winds. So what I'm going to do today is we are going to get the starts out of our greenhouse tunnel just in case there's any damage. Now we do have our greenhouse T-posted down. We have 6 T-posts, so 3 on each side holding it down, like anchoring it down. I think it'll be fine, but if for some reason, you know, the wind rips the fabric or something, you know, like a support arch collapses, I don't want to risk losing the plants I have in there because it's a lot of established cut flowers that I'm getting ready to plant out that I started back in January. So I don't want to take a risk losing those. So I'm just going to move them inside the garage. It hasn't been very cold lately, so I think they're going to be just fine, but they're cooler weather crops anyways. And then Tuesday we wake up to like a lovely 17-degree morning, and then Wednesday we possibly have snow on the radar now. So we're supposed to have some wind and rain from like 11 a.m. to like 9 a.m. tomorrow. So we're kind of on a time crunch to get what we can down and staked and anchored. Because what's going to happen is it's going to rain. It's going to be cool for a couple of days, and then we warm back up into the 60s, and then things are going to start growing again. And it does not take long for the weeds to set in, and we just did all that tilling. We had to rent a tiller, so we're squeezing in work wherever we can between the weekends and our full-time jobs when Tim gets home for the evening. And we knew, because last year we gardened in the area we were gardening in this year. A little backstory on our property is like the original builders and owners, I think they were timber loggers. They were in the timber industry. So we garden out by our shop, and there's an area that looks really pretty, like it's really grassy and beautiful. And last year when we went to start setting up our fence line and started kind of digging and trying to establish a garden, we realized we were hitting a ton of gravel. And I think they had gravelled in front of the shop, and my mom had found an old picture of the property where they had their semis parked there. So I think they were parking on gravel. They had gravelled in front of it, so we had to kind of shift down. The area where it's really gravelly and we know we can't till or anything, we already have a few galvanized raised beds. We're just going to drop them in that that gravelly area, and then everything else will be planted in the ground. So our hopes today are to get as much of the landscape fabric down, and we probably won't get the fence line established today, especially with these high winds coming. That's something we can do after work. And so I have really, really easy meal plans this week. I only cook like 3 times a week. So every other night in our house is leftover night. That shouldn't take away too much time, so we'll be able to focus outside. And then Mom and Granny are going to be up next Monday. We don't know what time yet. I'm hoping that we'll have the garden fenced in, landscaped, the bed set up, and then me and Tim will also be sketching out our plan to plant around trees and utilize the shade. Oh my goodness, I am tired. We did a lot yesterday. We worked from like 8 to 9 p.m. So you will have to excuse my very disheveled, oh my goodness, my hair, my very disheveled appearance. I'm letting Tim sleep in. It's not light out yet, so we really can't do anything until the sun comes up. And I'm just down here in the kitchen getting a head start kind of on some dishes and laundry and stuff. I'm gonna let him sleep in because he did a lot of manual labor yesterday. But with mom and granny coming up, we're hoping to have it all set up so they can have a chance to help us plant the garden because they're not moving up till the fall. And then when they move up in the fall, we'll be in the middle of our fall planting. So they're going to be up here for 2 weeks, I believe. So that'll be fun. We'll have some nice family time. But basically, after we get the garden set up, we have a huge spring cleaning weekend. We're getting the house ready for them. And then we daily clean. And then every like 3 to 4 months, we do like a big deep clean. Like we have like our daily chores, our weekly chores, and then like our, quarterly chores every 3 to 4 months. We tear apart the house, and we're reorganizing a few things especially in our kitchen where like the systems just aren't working for me, and we're gonna try to take a different approach to see if that helps me keep up with things better. It's getting close. We're like halfway through March now, which is crazy to think about. I feel like yesterday was just January and we were starting snapdragon seeds. And so in April, I should find out if we're getting a spot in the market that we applied for. I have gotten an invite to 2 other markets that I know I could get into, and there's nothing wrong with those markets. One is in the town we live in, which is very, very tiny. And I just don't feel like we would be able to necessarily network or grow or be able to sell enough to make it worthwhile. And it's every other week. And with the scale I'm doing, I'm hoping to need to unload produce every week. And then the other one it's right up the road in the next town over. I've never personally been, so I might go check it out this year. They sent me an invite, and so I have a backup plan if we don't get into the market we want to be in. The market we were applying for, it's only about 30 minutes away, but it's a little bit of a bigger town, and I just feel like we would be able to make a little bit more money, and I am hoping that will prepare us to go do like the bigger cities like New Albany and Louisville maybe next year or the year after. Our goal is to kind of start traveling for markets, so we'll have a market on Friday, and then the markets in New Albany and Louisville are usually on Saturdays, and then if I can find a Sunday market. But I felt like doing a mid-sized market, I know like it makes sense to start with a small market and then a mid-sized market and then like work your way up, but I just felt like doing the mid-sized market would be the better option for us, just with more foot traffic and getting to see a lot more vendors and just kind of really immersing ourselves in the experience, even if it is going to be overwhelming at times. I struggle with transitions, so last week with the time change was a little rough, but I've been better about getting myself established and waking up earlier. So my husband gets up at 4:30 in the morning. He leaves by 5 to go to the gym before work, and I've been having him get me up before he leaves so I can try to get out of bed by 5 in the morning. And the point of me doing that is really just to establish a routine for myself where I have at least 30 minutes, 45 minutes in the morning to enjoy my coffee and maybe get a few chores done or journal or read and just set aside some time for myself, because we're really entering the busy season where things are going to be picking up for us. And I know if I don't have some of that time for myself, then it's easy for me to get overwhelmed and kind of shut down. And I just really struggle with the transition period. So of course I started implementing new habits for me in the transition period of seasons and time change. This morning I woke up and I was like, no, we have a little bit of time before the sun comes up, but I just couldn't go back to sleep. But it has been nice to have some time before I clock into work, because I am a person who waits till like the last minute. So I work from home and I work 6 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. and I am a person who lays in bed till the last minute, and I'm really trying to break that habit, because even though I do my best to listen to my body when it needs rest, and that it's okay to not be productive 24/7 and that rest is vital to us as humans, it gets to a point where I kind of fall into this trap where I'm overindulging in the, oh, I need to rest. And I have to learn more how to differentiate between, am I like needing rest or Am I just being a little lazy? And sometimes that can be a hard conversation with ourselves because it'll just be an excuse for me to be avoiding a task that is like the easiest, simplest task, but I don't want to do it. And then when I don't want to do something, my brain like catastrophizes it and turns it into this whole big thing that it is not. It's something that'll take me 15 seconds to do, but I will fight tooth and nail to not have to do it. But then I feel worse because then it weighs on me and it's just cluttering up my mind and my energy. And so I'm getting better about just ripping off the Band-Aid and getting it done. I think we like living in today's world, it's really focused on like how productive you are. Everything's got metrics and measurements of your worth is tied to how much you accomplish and how much you work in a day. And I'm trying to find the balance, not to throw out the buzzwords there, but to make it make sense to you guys. I'm trying to find the balance between like hustle culture and living a soft life. And my problem with living a soft life is if I'm constantly living a soft life, then I don't face opportunities for failure and to grow as a person. I don't learn anything. I'm not building resilience. I'm not sharpening my discernment and my intuition. And it's not giving me any opportunities to problem solve and think out of the box and be creative, which is, a part of life where I really thrive and enjoy. But I've also fallen into that trap in the past of working like 60, 70, 80-hour weeks. So it's just not, we're not meant to do that. And I know there's a seasonality when you start farmsteading, homesteading, farming, whatever you want to call what we're doing, whatever vocabulary you want to assign to us. There's a seasonality to where there's a busy season and a time for rest. And this winter we really did take the time to just really focus on some of our hobbies and get some stuff done around the house. We didn't get as much as we wanted to around the house. Some of that's financial and some of that was like, it's just not of utmost importance right now for us getting out of debt and focusing on building this business and just moving forward with our lives in like towards a vision that we've had for the better part of 5 to 10 years now. And now the time is here. We've just kind of gone in a different direction this winter than what we were originally planning. Officially get the garden setup season, planting the garden season, talking all things garden season, and it's just busy season and it's only going to get busier. But I am hopeful because things are greening up. Our trees have started to kind of bloom and they're probably going to die back with this hard freeze coming. I don't know though. It's not supposed to stay super cold for long. We're only going to have like 1 to 2 days, so they might do okay. But our maple trees started blooming, and then I was standing there just admiring the maple trees the other day on my lunch break, and then I was like, I forgot to tap trees this year. I was supposed to learn how to make maple syrup next year. Hopefully we'll get to tap some maple trees. But I was just so excited to see everything budding, and then like I'm watching the birds. And it's just spring. I know we're going to have some cold weather, but in my mind, like it's spring. It feels like spring outside. So I'll see you guys back either later today. I'm not sure when you guys are going to see this video. Today's Sunday. I've been working on this video since Friday. I'm going to go ahead and get my day started. And yeah, I will see you guys later and hopefully get to show you the tomatoes and talk about what I'm doing with those. So I'll be back later. So a little update on the seed room. We have some cilantro that came up, some fennel. This is the basil I planted last weekend. It's coming up. There's some purple basil right there. Our onions are doing good. We'll get these guys transplanted out soon. They actually need a little bit of water. And then my tomatillos, my purple ones are doing great. This side is the purple, and then this side is the green. My green tomatillos aren't doing as well, so I'm probably going to pop a few more seeds in. And then I've got some of my pepper seeds have came up. We've got some pepperoncinis, we've got some serrano, and some jalapenos in this row. Then I have some tomato plants that are looking fabulous. They're a little leggy. I'm going to separate these out this week and get them into some deeper soil. And we'll do a whole talk about tomatoes later on, probably this week. So we've got our red cherries, our woolly cates, which were those yellow and purple cherry tomatoes, and then our black strawberries. Up here we've got some Korean chilies. None of my Sugar Rush peach came up. I'm going to dig around and see if I can find the seeds. I'm going to be really sad if they rotted or something because these soil blocks in the center kind of fell apart. And I'm wondering if the seeds are trapped or if they sprouted and didn't make it to the surface, because I have no more Sugar Rush peach peppers, which really, really sucks. And then we've got some Anaheim, little Anaheim babies. This is the same tomato plants as down there. I ran out of some of the black seed trays, so I had a ton of these casserole dishes and they worked just fine. So more tomatoes to separate out. Here we've got our apricot zebra and our purple calabash tomatoes. I realized I dug around on the white currant side because nothing came up, and I never planted those white currant tomatoes. So I'm going to actually start those in a paper towel to get them sprouted and then just pop them in the soil blocks. But all of these are going to need to be separated this week and kind of up potted because they're getting a little leggy. And then we have more tomatoes. So over here we have our San Marzanos, which are a paste tomato. Our Roma, which is another paste tomato. We have our Cherokee Purple, which is a slicer, as well as our Genovese slicers and our Saroloy slicers. Those are the big yellow and purple ones. And it's actually probably almost time for me to move these lights up. So I come in here a couple times a day and I just sort of mess with the plants so their stems don't get too fragile. Hey guys, I'm back, and we were only able to get one extra row down today of the landscape fabric, and then the wind started rolling in, so we called it. We wanted to have time to get everything kind of secured and staked down. We threw T-posts and pallets and old fence posts and like some dirt, like bags of dirt on the top. It is staked down as well as we can. But the winds have really been kicking up. We lost power for about 30-45 minutes and I was just like, I need a nap. I essentially woke up and was like, oh wow, like I hurt. Like it was kind of a, like I woke up because of the pain type situation, and I was like texting Tim and I was like, I don't know if I'm getting out of bed for the rest of the day, but I laid around for a little bit, and it's a good type of soreness, but it's muscles I don't use very often. So we were up and down staking the last 2 days, and then I was in the sunlight for a long time. And I don't know if anybody else gets really tired with a lot of sun exposure, but I do. Like going to places like the beach or spending the day out in the water and like the sun is really intense, it just takes it out of me. And then having to stand up and down every like 2 to 3 feet to put stakes in, I was like unable to regulate my blood pressure. Like my vision was getting blurry and I was getting like really like just overstimulated and overwhelmed. And I ended up changing and like putting on different shoes, and then I was like cranky. It was a rough start to our garden day today. Usually when it's garden day, I'm so happy to be in. So I showered and I took a nap, and I'm feeling a little better, other than the fact that like my hands are cramping up and like my legs hurt so bad, but it's just part of it. Winter time, we're not as active, so my body's just getting used to it again. But I forgot what it's like to be sore from working outside all day. Tim does this for a living, so he's like, I don't know why you're so messed up. I made a cup of decaf because sometimes I don't want the caffeine, but I really want coffee, and I feel like I can trick my brain if I drink a cup of decaf coffee into feeling energized. And I'm just lying to myself. Like, I know that it's decaf, but in my mind, I'm also drinking coffee, and so maybe like my body will be like, ooh, caffeine. That's probably not how it's gonna work out today. We're just gonna call it a lazy day. While I took a nap, Tim took care of all the house plants. We have about 50 house plants, and Sundays are kind of like watering day and pruning day, and he usually takes care of that on Sundays. So that's done. All we have left to do is to soak our orchids, but I'm just going to do that tomorrow. They'll be fine for another day. We have humidifiers and stuff going, And I think the rest of the day, honestly, I'm not even cooking dinner tonight. We're just gonna scrounge. I'm just gonna get this video edited and posted, and we're hoping we don't lose power again. It wasn't out for very long, but us and the other town up the road from us had lost power for a little bit. And they're now calling for likely tornadoes southwest of us in some areas that aren't very far. And tornadoes can they can travel long distances sometimes, and it's supposed to start raining tonight, and I hate night storms. Like, I love thunderstorms. I sleep so well during them. I find them very calming, but I live in the woods and there's a lot of big trees, and so night it's hard to see when those like if a tornado spawns or if a tree comes down or breaks or something and you're asleep. Like, it's scary. So I'm just gonna keep myself occupied and not think about it, because I'll make myself crazy and anxious if I sit here and continue to talk about it. So we just have to get through tomorrow. Oh my goodness, though. The trees are swaying so much. It kind of reminds you that you're not really in charge of anything. It's pretty to see, it's pretty to look at, but please stay standing tall. I walked out to the front porch to show you guys the trees moving, and the downspout on our gutter fell off. So that's fun. That's something we have to fix. But where the downspout that fell off, we were going to put a rain barrel anyways, so it was going to come off or get cut shorter, so it's not that big of a deal. But I walked out and wasn't expecting to see my downspout on the ground. And I was just like, okay, well, that's another thing to fix around here. But that's just kind of how it goes when you own a home and inclement weather comes in. You don't really get a say of what's going to break next. So I'm going to start some seeds again tonight. I'm going to start some more fennel. I'm going to get herbs going. I need some more calendula. I need to get some chamomile going. I have resigned myself to the fact that I'm going to be buying certain herbs just because I've never had luck starting them. Things like lavender and thyme and mints. I'm just going to buy those as starts. I've never had good luck starting those from seed. And they can be a little slow growing and take a little bit to come into their own. So those I'm not going to start from seed. Rosemary, sage, I'm just gonna buy all of those from the Amish. They charge us like $2 to $3 a plant up here. And then this week, in the middle of getting ready for visitors and our family coming up, I'm going to try to start separating tomatoes and getting them up potted, because they're just a little leggy, a little spindly, and they definitely need a little bit more support. And I'm going to do a video talking about like why we plant tomatoes the way we do. And then I'm trying a new method this year, and I have really got to stop introducing transitions and new things to my routine, because it's been very anxiety inducing for me this year, because the way I normally do things is not how I have been doing things this year. Soil blocking is completely new, and now I'm like kind of pivoting away for soil blocking for the tomatoes, and I'm doing something that I saw a market farmer in Kentucky do, and I'm going to shoot a whole separate video on that. But it's almost warm enough after this cold snap. I think I'm going to start putting like my tomatoes and peppers outside so they get used to the sunlight. And any of my excess tomatoes, I'm just going to sell as plant starts. I still have some seed cells that I can put them in, and I'll just make them, whatever I sell, I'll just use the cash to roll into the Amish market and get my herb starts. But I'm going to start some more seeds tonight. And yeah, that's kind of been our weekend. This is a video of like 3 different days worth of footage, just snippets of what's been going on in tidbits here. And if you are here in the Midwest, if you're in Indiana, Illinois, Kentucky, like especially Western Kentucky, Missouri, stay safe, because it is really picking up out there. Oh, I got all our plants moved from the greenhouse to the garage because I was not risking that. But I just ran outside and checked on everything, and right now everything seems fine. I'm looking out the window right now, and there's all sorts of stuff flying through the air right now, all the leaves. March has always been a windy month, and I always thought about it being the month that blows away winter and blows in spring. You know, the equinox is coming up in a few days, and March has always been a windy month, as long as I can remember. So thank you guys for being here with me for this chat. And if you need me, I most likely will not be in the garden with this inclement weather. I think I'm just gonna hunker down for the next few days with the cold and enjoy the last little bit of winter that's here, because I don't think we're getting any more, honestly. So I'll see you guys later. Bye.